It's time for Lotus to make a comeback, and I think this car might just be that. Because today we're taking a look at the Lotus Exige Cup, and you can get this car as an Accolade reward for completing skill mode in 6 of the 12 realms. And hopefully it shouldn't take you too long. So from stock, this thing has 430 brake horsepower, 324 foot-pounds of torque, and it's very light at only 2,410 pounds. I've got to say, it does actually look pretty cool indeed, even with the single wiper in the middle of the window. And going to the back, it is pretty much that of the other Lotus Exige that we have in-game, but I've got to say, just look at the wing, that is brilliant. Going to the inside, practically nothing changes between the Exige Cup and the Exige itself, but I've got to say, it does still look good. But now let's go ahead and take a listen to this thing. So here we are now inside the upgrade shop. We're going to jump straight over to conversion and of course over to engine swaps and see what we've got available. We've got 3 available, and those engines are a 6.2 litre V8, a 3 litre racing V8 alongside a 5.2 litre V10. That's a Lamborghini engine to you and I. If you want, you can also go ahead and make this thing all-wheel drive, which I think we'll probably do a little bit later on this video. And if you want to make this thing turbocharged, then you can do just that as well. Going over to aero and appearance now. For the front, we've got ourselves a couple options. We have ourselves over here the little Forza splitter that we can put on there like we can on every other car. And we have the option to have this very interesting looking front bumper from Lotus themselves. Now going over to the rear wing, we have a couple options from Lotus. This being the first one that just slightly changes the wing a bit, but it does look pretty cool. Going over to option number 2, it does look pretty cool indeed. Now I've got to say, I do like the paint matched, I guess like little wing supports, I guess you call them. And you can also go ahead and slap on the classic Forza rear wing as well. I mean, for those options, I don't know why you would, but you can. In the meantime though, our mechanic Mac has been very busy making us a good old racing tune for this thing, so let's go ahead and bring up the share code real quick. There it is, feel free to go ahead and grab that for yourself. We're going to go ahead, download the tune and see what we're working with. So with these upgrades, we're now sat just shy of 2,070 pounds, a lot lighter than before, with over 500 brake horsepower, so this should be very interesting. So with all these upgrades installed, here are now at the paint shop. Taking a look at advanced paint groups, we actually have 2 for this car, so the first one being the main body of the car. And what is paint group number 2? Is it the little, I guess, things at the back? No, it's not. What is it? What is paint group? Is it just the stripes on the top? Hang on, is it actually the... Okay, it's interesting. I can't lie, it would have been nice if the like wing supports on this were also a part of that paint group, but sadly not. In the meantime, in terms of manufacturer colours, we have ourselves a whopping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different colours to go through. Obviously the Lotus British Racing Green right there, looking pretty good indeed. But I think we might go with the white because it's nice, it's bright, it stands out, and it looks cool. I'm sure at least half of that was English. Now, when it comes to the world of Lotus, there's usually an interesting saying around its name, and kind of, I guess, like a fan-made acronym, so to speak. Because to half the community, Lotus apparently stands for lots of trouble, usually serious. But hopefully not this time. Hopefully this time it's a race winner. Well, I guess it's time to find out. Away we go. We're up against 11 other various assorted cars, and we need to finish in first place. Although to be fair, considering it's 2% into the race and we're already up in 5th, I think we're doing pretty well. The question is, can I make that 4th by the time we get out of this turn? Apparently so. Also, fun fact by the way, according to an article written for carmagazine.co.uk all the way back in 2017, the Lotus Exige Cup 430 was rumoured to be the fastest Lotus yet. Although since then, Lotus did develop their electric supercar, which is also in this game. If you want a video on the Lotus, I believe it's the Avira? If you want a video on that, do go ahead, let me know. In the meantime, Caterham out the way, coming through. Now, in the meantime, the number of how many of these things were made is kind of all over the place, but I can tell you as of right now, there's approximately 42 still licensed and on UK roads. Although if you wanted to buy one, you better have deep pockets, because these things can range between 72,000 all the way up to 123,000 US dollar. Which is this in pound sterling, by the way. Either way, 95%, one more turn to go. Hopefully we can stay out of that. Never mind, I was going to try and say hopefully we can stay out of the wall. Apparently not, but we did go ahead and get across the line with a very, very nice first place and a time of 1 minute 54. I've got to say, what a race that was indeed. The car is absolutely fantastic. But now we go from one car to several cars that are all battling it out for a spot on the backstage pass. Because for the vote this week, we have ourselves, funnily enough, a Porsche 911 C2 Gunther Works and another Lotus, the Lotus Esprit from 1980, versus the 911 GT3 and the Ferrari Dino. And I think because it's a video about a Lotus, let's go ahead and try and vote for the other Lotus too. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments. In the meantime, we'll turn our attention away from the 1980s and back to the 2010s when this car was made, because Mac has made ourselves a little bit of a drag tune. So let's go ahead, bring up the share code very quickly. There it is. Feel free to go ahead and grab the tune for yourself. We're going to go ahead and do that, download and install, and then go and take this thing drag racing. Although before we do that, here's a look at the stats. This thing now weighs a lot more at around 2,318 pounds with a whopping 1,215 brake horsepower. This thing's going to be mad. So here we are now over at the back of the festival. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a little bit of a wheelie check out of this thing. Do we get anything? We do. It's honestly very impressive, and it also veered off the road. I think it's got a mind of its own. Also, is this thing meant to have only one reverse light, or am I just overthinking things? Right, here we are now over at the edge of the drag strip. Let's get ourselves onto launch control, and away we go. Saw a donut media van for a split second there. Very interesting. Let's go ahead now and see what we can do with 1,200 brake horsepower, a massive open drag racing runway, through the camera at 213, and off the end of the drag strip at approximately 230 something. And as ever, we still can't brake. You know, one of these days, Matt's going to surprise me with a car that has brakes. Well, now it's our turn to go ahead, try out this thing and see what all manic creations we can make with it. So we're going to go ahead, slap in the 5.2 litre V10. We're also going to go ahead and make this thing all-wheel drive as well. And while we're at it, you know what? Let's go ahead and shove in some twin turbos. Why? Well, one reason and one reason only. Because we're going for a little bit of a top speed build, and we want this car to look good too. So let's go ahead and just throw on some cool looking parts. Something interesting I've just found about this car, by the way, is there's only the option to upgrade the front tyre width, not the back, and I don't know why. And apparently the same is also true with the front rim. We can go ahead and just turn that up to 18s, but I think the back might be up to 18s already. Can't lie, I'm a bit confused by that, but okay, Forza, do what you want. Yeah, that looks about right. And now the fun bit of trying to tune 7 different individual gears. Not done this for a while, so it should get very interesting. And because we put on those aero parts, we can actually go ahead now and take the downforce all the way down to speed. In the meantime, here's this week's Forzathon shop. We have ourselves the Porsche Carrera from 2003 for 500 points. We also have ourselves a backstage pass, the walkie-talkie car horn, which sounds a bit like this. There you go, very interesting indeed, a bit like being trackside at Formula 1. We also have ourselves the Dodge Challenger RT from many years ago, the Apex Predators hoodie, we have ourselves the Horizon Super Wheelspin, and the regular Horizon Wheelspin as well. And now, out to the motorway. Right, let's hopefully see if we've lined ourselves up with a motorway grate, and today, I think, for the first time in forever, we've actually done it. We are pretty much on the motorway grate. This is fantastic. If you ask me, best day of my life. Anyway, let's go ahead and get ourselves onto launch control, and away we go. 1,200 brake horsepower. This thing's relatively light. 7 gears. Let's go ahead and see what we can get out of this thing. Still can't believe I actually managed to get that right for once. Also, it feels so weird hearing a V10 noise come out of one of these things. And out of the speed zone at 257.50. Let's go ahead and see now. Keep the speed up. Go to the downhill and the speed camera and see what we can get there too. I'm hoping for maybe 270 at a push, but I think we're more likely to get roughly around 265. Let's find out though. Through the camera, 264.6. Going downhill, 266, 267, 268. Do we get any more than that? No, we do not, but 268 is still pretty good indeed. There's the sign on the brakes. What do we get from this thing in terms of braking distance? Something good? Actually, yeah, that's genuinely kind of impressive. But now I've got one more test left. So it's good in a straight line, it's good in a race, but how good is it at going sideways? Let's go ahead and find out. We're going to throw this thing into our favourite little drift zone, see what we can do, try and get a good score out of this thing, and we get ourselves 40,955. And that was totally done in one attempt. However, now it's time for round number 2. Let's go ahead and throw this thing back the other way. 40,000, nearly 41,000 to beat. Can we get that? I very heavily doubt it, because that's a very poor entry. We're going out the other side, 35,200 points. Which is still pretty good. And that is this video on the Lotus Exige Cup 430. I've got to say, it is quite a car indeed. It's a lot of fun to drive, and even with 1,200 horsepower, this thing is still somehow stable. As to how is beyond me, but it is. And like I said at the start, if you want to grab hold of one of these things, go ahead and complete skill mode in 6 of the 12 different Horizon realms, and this thing can be all yours. But, well, not this exact one, I'm keeping mine. But in the meantime though, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to go ahead and like, share, comment, subscribe, all that cool stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Tech out. See ya. And now I've got to go ahead and get a Camaro.